Hey everyone. So for this week's sweat cap, what we thought we'd do is run through some of the fundamental parts of getting the kettlebell into, or the dumbbell into position when the exercise is on your back on the ground and the weight is over your chest. The reason we thought we'd go over it is because we're seeing a lot of people being very lackadaisical in getting it into position and returning it to the ground or switching sides. And when we say something about it, it's like, please don't do that. Sometimes there's actually a visible eye roll, and I can almost hear them thinking, oh, what does it matter? I get it, okay. Here's why it matters. How you practice is how you perform. So when it's a lightweight or no weight in some cases, like we'll start you out doing it with no weight, if you are not practicing it the way that it has to be done, then the way that you're practicing it is how you're going to do it when you do have some substantial weight. And that puts you at a risk for injury. And we are about safety here, and we want everything done properly in that capacity. So, what are these errors that we see? When you are setting up, so the movement I'm talking about is where you have to go from the ground to here, getting into this position with the weight. What we see is either when you roll to your back and then you move the weight this way, or when you're returning to the ground, you put it down this way. And it should never be that way. It should always be done as a tight unit. Worse, sometimes we'll see people, they finish the exercise, and when they put it down like this. Okay, that's even worse. Again, you can get away with it when it's a light weight, but if that's a heavy weight and you're trying to pull it in, you could do some damage that way. And then the most dangerous one is when you're moving it from one side to the other. We see people pass it over their face. So they'll bring it down, and then instead of doing it with the sweep or turning the body around, they take it down and I see this all the time actually, they flip the weight over and they move it across this way. Ladies and gentlemen, when that is heavy, if that slips, you're distracted or you just don't have the grip on it that you think, and you're holding it here, that bell comes down, even if it's not heavy, that can do a lot of damage. So I wrangled in one of your fellow members to help us with this, and we're just gonna head over there and run through how to do this from top to bottom. All right, so Jeffrey has volunteered to be our model for this, because sometimes it's helpful to see somebody else doing it while I talk it through rather than me trying to talk and demonstrate it at the same time. So we're gonna go through how to set up, and we're also gonna talk about how to switch sides, because those are the two places that, because they're not part of the exercises themselves, people tend to let their mind wander. So setting up for to get it into position, whether you're gonna do a floor press, an arm bar, a get up, it doesn't matter. And it also, this would apply even if you're using a dumbbell, okay? We're gonna use the kettlebell because for the most part, this exercises are done with the kettlebell, or more traditionally done with the kettlebell. But if you're gonna do it with a single dumbbell, you're gonna do the same thing. So Jeffrey is going to lay on her side, and she's going to lovingly spoon the kettlebell. Hold it close. She's got her shoulders stacked right over top of each other, just like the hips, just like the knees. So she's not, sometimes when people are first learning how to do this, can you just let go for a sec? They have their arm sort of out, bottom arm out. Yeah, so you see, and Jeffrey's not stacked properly in this part. Her hips and her knees are, and her shoulders are, but she's not on top of the elbow. So she's gonna get back on top of that elbow. So now everything's nice and solid. When she rolls to her back, she's gonna keep that hand on top, and the arm, this elbow doesn't come off the ground, okay? Because a lot of times, that's the other thing, is that people will roll to their back and they'll keep it pressed into the stomach. As with most of this, it's fine when the kettlebell's light, but we don't want that to become the habit, because that's a lot of weight to have on there, and it's also gonna add an extra step in order to get into the floor press. So
when she rolls, that elbow stays on the ground and the forearm stays perpendicular to the floor. The knuckles are nice and, you can let go, the knuckles are nice and straight up at the roof. From there, she presses it up, and either, there's the floor press, that's the exercise, pull it down, back up. She's doing the floor press exercise, or she does the floor press and that's the starting position for a get up or an arm bar. So well done, it's like we practiced this. All right, so now when she's finished, that's the finishing position, she's gonna return to the starting position in the exact same way. Pulls it down, rolls to her side. Now just really quickly, I'll get you to do it but without the kettlebell, so you'll roll to your back. The reason for that elbow being on the ground and the forearm being perpendicular to the floor is because this is a nice stable position and you don't have to muscle it to hold it there, all right? You could hang out there for a while. If her hand's on her stomach, I can push down pretty easy. It'll try and resist me. Yeah, it's pretty hard to resist. It's like, why did you push so hard on my stomach? We didn't rehearse that. Or if she's got the hand here, which sometimes happens, again, try and resist. And it's like, I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on there. But if it's upright like this, I can actually lean on that hand and she's not going anywhere. So if she's not all the way, I could push it down. And if she's too much this way, I could push it down. So you want it to be nice and tight, elbow tight to the body on the ground, forearm perpendicular. Now just roll back as if you've got the kettlebell. Oh, you forgot your hand, oh dear. We do want you to practice it that way even if you don't have the weight in your hand. Now, once you've done the exercise, there's another one another error that you could make, and this is probably the most egregious one because you might hurt your shoulder with that external rotation if you pick it up, put it down wrong. But when you're passing it around from side to side, we don't ever want to see you move it across your body. The kettlebell should never pass your shoulder to go to the other side. So when it's time to switch sides, there's 3 ways you can do it. The most common way, and the way that we teach it, is the sweep. So you sweep it over your head, kettlebell never leaves the ground, and your arms are, it's actually a great little mini mobility drill. You can sweep it back. And you'll see her whole body's moving at the same time. I'm not gonna get her to do it because I don't wanna put her into a compromised position, but sometimes people, they're only thinking about the kettlebell. So we'll go up to a certain point, okay? But your hips don't move. She's gonna do a sweep, but her hips aren't moving, and I see people do this sometimes, yeah. It's like, oh no! Okay, so we don't want that, all right? Your whole body sort of moves as the bell sweeps. The other way you can switch sides is you can actually sit up and just turn around. Sometimes you might want to do that when it starts getting really heavy, or if you're doing it on the rubber floor and it drags. And the last way that you could do it, only a few people have done this. They've done it on their own, not with our coaching because I don't like it. But you would sit up and then you pull it under your legs. So it seems kind of onerous and inefficient, but it checks the boxes in terms of safety. It's not passing over the midline, it's not passing over the face. So yeah, I think that covers it all. This is our second take because Jeffrey reminded me that I totally forgot that latter half of the video the first time around. So I think we got it all now, right? If you have any questions about it, you can, and you're a member, you can always refer to our online coaching library where we go through this in a little bit greater depth. Leave a message in the comments if you want. And otherwise, like we always say, train smart, train hard, keep fit, have fun. And thank you, Jeffrey.